Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today on Neighborhood Connection. I'm Tiffany Mercer, and we have a very special return guest joining us today. We have Mr. Don Maxwell sitting in the studio with us. It's so good to see you, Don.
Thank you, ma'am.
I appreciate you coming back talking to us. Many of you know Don and know his story. Don is currently seeking a kidney donor. And many of you may have seen the episode of Neighborhood Connection where he was with us initially, and that's been back maybe August, Don, and here we are, July, and it's been a while. Several months have passed. Things have changed for the worse, unfortunately. There is no looking up in this situation until you find a donor.
Right.
And when you were in here with us last, you had not started dialysis, but that changed, I believe, in September, and you began dialysis.
I started hemodialysis in September, and in March I started PD dialysis, which I do at home. When I was doing the hemodialysis in the facility, I was doing it 3 days a week for 4 hours a day. Now I do it for 8 hours a night, every night.
Every night.
Every night.
Yes, and that's life now. Unfortunately, you have become accustomed to this, and I mean, you without the dialysis, you would. I mean, just to put it out there, you would not survive without the dialysis. It is necessary at this point, and I know your wife Kathy. She has been your biggest advocate and your voice, and she has been everywhere on social media outlets. She's, I think, the paper, radio, everywhere. Even the backs of your window, the windshields in your car have the message.
Yes.
And T-shirts have been printed up, and just desperate to find a donor. And I do want to say there have been a handful of people in the community who have reached out and just found led to do something. But unfortunately, no one has completed the process.
Right. Well, 4 of them have gone all the way through the process, but got turned down by the transplant committee. There's been a good many more people. I don't know how many because they don't tell us when people contact them, but there have been a good many people that have told us that they have and that they've known of somebody that has contacted. So.
And I know you're most appreciative for that, for people trying and doing all they can. But as you said, so there's been 4 that have actually completed it, but you have to go before a board, and then they review everything, I guess, and be like, this is just not.
And you have to be in totally perfect health or they won't let you donate.
Are there any, I think you mentioned maybe diabetes, blood pressure, just right off the bat. So if any of our viewers are knowing and they're considering, or do you know any pre-existing?
If you're overweight, I don't think smoking totally rules you out, but it doesn't help. And any kind of heart condition.
Heart conditions.
Yes.
Okay. And for anybody, and I want to go ahead and put this out there, if you want to find out more what the process is, you can contact the kidney donor coordinator. And this is through Piedmont.
Piedmont in Atlanta.
Piedmont in Atlanta. And that number is 404-605-2950. And they will answer any and everything, as they have talked to many people. This is what they do day in and day out with the kidney donors. And I know it's a possibility, Don, that you could receive, is it still a cadaver? But that's just years and years on a list of waiting.
Yes, it's usually 8 to 10 years.
Yes.
And I've been on the list for now 2 years. And we had a potential for a cadaver, but it was because the family designated me. But it didn't work out.
And that didn't work out, yes. And I know it's hard to remain hopeful, but you have to rely on faith and strength. And I know it's a test to get through this, but the thing is, you got a lot of people in this community that's praying and rooting and trying and going forth, and you just have to trust that this is part of the plan, and you don't understand it, but it tests you. I know it does.
And I'm a type O, but that's for a direct donation, but they have a paired donors process now where if you're type A or type B and you want to donate in my behalf, then there's a pool of O donors that they'll choose from, and it'll be like the change you hear about. Somebody told me about one the other day that was a 7-way pair, that if one of them fell out and didn't work, none of the 7 of them got the transplant. All of them did.
They did. Well, that is miraculous. 7 people benefited.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? And you got to remain hopeful that you're going to be in that circle. That's going to be you. But as I mentioned, when you were here before, Dawn, you had not started dialysis. So I kind of just want to update our viewers and the community and let them know where you are now and what you've been through. I believe you became anemic during this time. You had to have blood transfusions and had quite a scare.
Well, when I started hemodialysis, they gave me 2 units of blood. They told me that I was at 6.1, but they had always told me that there was a problem with building up antibodies with blood transfusions, so we didn't want to have one. And they said, well, then you can have a heart attack.
So you choose.
So I chose the blood
Sure.
transfusions. And then when I went from hemo to PD dialysis, which is the one I do at home, I went for a few weeks without getting the medication that makes my red blood cells generate. And I got down to 5.9 one time and 5.8 one time. But now I'm up, last time I checked it was up to 8.6. And they increased the medicine that makes my red blood cells generate. So hopefully it's on above 9 now. So.
Ooh, yeah, dropping down below in the 5s, yeah, that was extremely dangerous.
Yes.
And I believe you were hospitalized. Was it twice, maybe? Or
Well,
a couple of times?
I went in the hospital in Elberton twice to get 2 units of blood, and then I stayed 3 days in Athens, and they were checking to make sure that I didn't have internal bleeding. And I've had all kinds of tests to make sure that I don't, and I don't. So it's just one of the things that goes with the kidney failure.
Yes, that's right. And also, when you were in here before, you were still working, but unfortunately, you're not able to do that anymore, as this whole process is just kind of
right about the time that I hit 5.9 the first time, I resigned my position where I was working because I just didn't have the energy to go. I'm getting my energy back now, but.
And that's a good thing. And I know it just takes it all out of you when you're going through something like this. And there have been several people from the community that have been on dialysis. We know many of our neighbors, our families, but and Don is still looking, and several people in our community have been blessed and received that gift, and that's what it is. I mean, this is the gift of life. It's like the greatest thing you could do for somebody. And I just want to stress that there is no cure for this. You need a kidney. I mean, there is no, on the brink of anything other than a donor.
They had been saying that by the end of 2020 that they would have an artificial kidney, but what I'm reading now is they're running out of funds, and it'll be another 10 years before they do it.
So they're this close, and then, it's going to be about 10 more years. Well, that's just disheartening.
Yeah.
So, yes, so if anybody has pondered this or thought about this, felt led in the past, Dawn needs it now more than ever. As I said, you can call us information or phone number and get information at Piedmont in Atlanta with their kidney donor coordinator at 404-605-2950, and they'll tell you how to start the process. It is somewhat lengthy, and I want to point this out because this is so important. A lot of people worry about insurance, but your insurance will cover the portion of the donor,
right,
medical expense wise, and
all of the medical expenses
completely. And I do believe sweet Kathy told me that there's even someone who is willing to set up, or maybe has already set up, a GoFundMe page for the donor to cover any other expenses that are incurred.
Yes, I've got somebody that's agreed to do that for us, a former employer.
And that is so super generous, because I know people think about, well, I'll miss work, and how am I going to support my family, and what am I going to do, and just want to ensure you that I have no doubt that if anybody's willing to do this, they'll be taken care of.
They will be.
They will be.
If they do it and there's no scar tissue or anything that would prevent them from doing it. They'll do it as a laparoscopic surgery on the donor. And usually in 2 days you're back home, and in 2 weeks you never knew you had the surgery.
So it's pretty easy compared to other more procedures. This one is not.
One of the potential donors had met with somebody that donated in Warner Robins, and he said if he just wished he had another kidney to do it again.
Oh, he'd do it again. If he had another, he'd give it too. Isn't that precious? And I said, I know personally some people who have done this, and unfortunately, you just got to get through all of these hoops to get to the end where they can do it. And there's just critical factors that lie in this whole process. But don't be afraid to step out and do this. As we said, financially, insurance-wise, you're going to be covered. And the procedure itself, 2-night stay, back to work in 2 weeks. So if you're feeling led to this, please give Piedmont in Atlanta a call regarding this. And of course, I don't think, Don, I think they suggest that you do not interact on a personal level with these potential donors.
They prefer that we don't. They don't want any potential coercion from anybody, anywhere. They want them to be sure that they're willing and ready to do this on their own.
And I know somebody who would really love for this to happen is sweet Charlotte, and this is your precious granddaughter.
My
And
sweetie, she turned 2 yesterday. Let's see, today's 29th, so Wednesday she turned 2.
just had her 2nd birthday, yes, and I saw pictures when you were here before, and then received some updates from Kathy, and I'm like, wow, she's growing, got little curls springing in, and I know she's just the light of your life.
Oh,
that kind of happens when grandbabies come along.
Yeah, she's a little princess.
Yes, and you have a son and a daughter, and this is your daughter's little girl, Miss Charlotte. So I know your entire family is just clenching onto every, just little glimpse of hope that comes along. Right. And I know this would just mean the world to you and your whole family. But as I said, you've tried so many different ways of getting the word out, from having it printed, and right there when you're driving along, if somebody's behind you, they see it on the back of your car. A little t-shirt. Charlotte was wearing a t-shirt that, what did she call you?
Pops.
Pops. Yes, that's right. Talking about her pops needing a kidney. So, and that's what we're here for too, is to reach out to you, the community. And Don, have you lived in Elbert County all your life?
I was born in Alberton. Yes.
Yep, that's what I thought you'd been here.
I went to school at Georgia Southern for 4 years and worked at Paul Anderson Youth Home in Vidalia for 3, but other than that, I've been here.
Yes, many people know you and know Miss Kathy and your sweet family, and I'm constantly watching, just seeing, because she's been the best to update, but I know sometimes it gets discouraging and you're like, I just really don't want to update anymore, because
the last time one fell through, we just knew it was going to work out. The person was in their 30s and picture of health, and one of his kidneys wasn't as strong as the others, so they wouldn't do it.
Couldn't take it.
So,
and you almost feel like, can you just take the one that's not as strong and we'll just give it a chance? But
so we just kind of laid low for a couple months after that, and getting through all this with my transition to peritoneal dialysis, and now we're trying to get the word out again.
That's right. So. Doing that, and that's why we're here. We appreciate you coming in here, talking to us. As I said, it's great to see you. I'm so glad to have you back. But considering the circumstances, it's not the most ideal, but I mean, there's hope still. And you just got to keep that as your focus. But again, I want to share this phone number one more time before we wrap things up here, Mr. Maxwell. For anyone with any questions regarding being a donor, kidney donor for Mr. Don, you can contact the Kidney Donor Coordinator at Piedmont in Atlanta at 404-605-2950. So I appreciate you coming in here.
Thank you.
Talking with our viewers again, just giving us an update.
Sure, and I want to thank all the people that have lifted up prayers and have called and lended their support. It's been helpful for me and for my wife, because she's been going through this with me.
Absolutely, and she's been good right there with you. Of course, you know, we'll invite her to come in, but she says you're a better talker than she is, because she says I just get too emotional and I can't get through it. And it is very emotional. I mean, that's just the reality of it. It is. And this has been a long process for you, and we would like to see this resolved. But we just have to trust the plan and the process right now and get through it. But I do want to say thank you as well to everyone who has reached out to Don and his family in any way, prayers, or if they're going through the process and couldn't see it to fruition. It's a great thing to do a very selfless act to do that. But hopefully, Don, we'll have you back in here with a wonderful update telling us about the transplant.
That would be wonderful.
We'll be celebrating.
Yes.
We're gonna do that. When you get this transplant, we're getting Don back in here and we're gonna talk about it and maybe bring some people with you and we'll just have a celebration in here.
All right.
That'd be great. But thank you so much. We appreciate you and we'll be thinking about you.
Thank you so much.
During this time. And we appreciate you for taking your time out to join us for Neighborhood Connection and tuning into Overton Net. And if you have any questions, I just encourage you to call the number that we've been sharing throughout this interview and they will get you on the right path. But thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.